Okay, so in like our field and based off of kind of the things we just said, Ronald, what do you think is like something that you've either learned or how you deal with all the stuff you go through for work, either not bringing it home or something like maybe you even realize impacts you mentally or emotionally because of your job?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's hard, my line of work to say that the job doesn't affect your personal life. It doesn't affect, when you walk in through the front door of your house. I'll be lying to you. I've been in that front seat of situations that I've been in that, I come home and I'm a totally different person. Um, it, it's hard because the reality is we don't talk about it, right? We really don't. We try to shove it under under the pillow, like we say, and then just kind of move on. Um, and kind of the fucked up part about it is like it's our family who takes the repercussion from it, right? Like, um, I'm in a unique spot where I can kind of come home and I can text Alessia on the way home like, "Hey, I had a shitty day," you know, or I had a call that got to me. Just just know that, hey, um, I'm not myself or whatever. Just saying something to let her know. But the reality is, a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people in my shoes don't. They'll leave work after you just run a call at 2 in the morning where a family just died, and the next thing you do in the morning is go to the bar. You know.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so it's tough, and it's I'd be lying to you if I say we didn't bring it home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would assume, like, and Gabby, I think this is what's hard for me personally when I think about first responders
Hmm.
is when somebody comes in to deal with trauma or like whether it's their history or something they experienced and they're healing it and they're going through it and like really trying to see how it impacts them. I think the hard thing for me, even as a therapist, is realizing like with what first responders do and what Ronald just talked about, it's like you don't really heal it, right? Because it keeps happening, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you're living in it all day. So you
Yeah.
can come home and be like, cool, but then and 2 weeks later you get another traumatic call and it's like you're right back in the trauma and that's your life, right? So you're living it all the time. So it's a hard thing to maneuver when it's legit your lifestyle that you're choosing versus something that happened to you.
Right. I guess my question is like, does it ever get easier? Like, is it something that you get accustomed to or acclimated to sometimes where you feel a little bit numbed out or not really?
Um, Easier, I'd say yes in a certain way. Um, Kind of going back to a little bit to kind of what Alessia was saying, right? It's like, and that's the beauty of our job, right? We don't know what we're gonna go into when I clock in at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, so you can go 4 or 5 days in a row where you're seeing the worst of the worst, right? And then you can go a whole month where it's just cats on the tree and grandma, fell.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, I'd say it's gotten a little bit easier because of the things I've been able to do to put myself in a situation to make that shitty call easier, right? Like I said, I have a great partner that I can come home and talk to. Um, Through her, she encouraged me to, see a therapist, and I've been seeing a therapist, and I've been talking about it. You also have to surround yourself with certain people at work that you're able to kind of go and be like, yo, that call affected me somehow.
Yeah.
Can we talk about it? You know?
Right.
Mhm.
Um,
So like that
so
support, of, like even
yeah,
coworkers.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. You need that because I mean, I spend more time with those guys than I do with her, right?
Yeah.
Like I text them on a daily basis. So, um, it does get easier if you want it to be easier in a sense, right? Like if you do the
Yeah.
right things to put yourself in that situation, for those shitty calls to kind of just be like, it bothered me, but I'll be okay, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I, okay. Hold on. Resume.
Once the time goes, you start it, Ronald.
Yeah, you can
All
go.
right.
I just hit resume. I'll clip it.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah, and getting back to the, second part of the question, has it ever happened to me? Oh, 100%. Um, a couple of shifts ago, um, had a rough call,
Hmm.
and it, it happens when you, especially when you have kids, right? Like I tell myself that, there's two calls that, get my blood pressure going, and that is, um, you know, when kids are involved in any shape, way, or form. It could be from a mild fever to broken ankle to, 3-year-old drowning.
Hmm.
Um, and house fires, right? We get excited for fucking these house fires that we're, rushing to, excited for, phones out, recording. But at the end of the day, someone's,
Yeah.
home just burnt to the ground type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I definitely bring certain calls home. But what I mentioned earlier, I think I put myself in a situation to be able to deal with those calls a little bit better.
Yeah. So, I mean, are there people who don't deal with them very well? Like, what happens to those individuals that are doing your job that struggle?
We don't. I think we keep, our personal lives, pretty personal.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, I text my coworkers all the time. We're always goofing around, sending text messages. They'll come over and hang out. But the reality is, we're not with them 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Um, they might they might say everything's kind of good in the morning, have a good day, and then you come to find out a month later that you know they're in rehab, or they're talking to someone because they're 2 minutes from committing suicide. And
Right.
that's one of the things that we try to have some sort of like open communication for everybody to talk to someone. But
Hmm.
the truth is, we clock in the morning at 7:30 and we clock out at 7:30 the next day. And then once everybody kind of goes on their own, you don't know what they're thinking, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a shitty thing to say, but it's the reality of the job.
Right. And I would think that's when like that old school and in therapy we try to get you out of this mindset, but it's definitely military and first responder, I would say, mindset and old school mindset of like suck it up, get over it, right? Like there's nothing you can do about it. Like it is what it is. Like I have to go to work. I saw this shit. I'm going to keep seeing shit. And then that is that if I'm not dealing with it though, there's just like throughout the years that's like a lot of shit you guys see though. So it's like this. I will say this, when you said this earlier, this went through my mind, when you were like, it does get easier. And like I guess me as a therapist, Gabby, I'm curious to see your perspective. um,
Hmm.
Part of me was like internally like, yeah, I'm sure it gets easier, and the other side of me was like, well, does it really get easier, or just is your body just habituating? Like you get used to it, so it's like I just don't feel anything anymore. It's kind of like when I imagine like ER, like you being a paramedic or somebody in like trauma care in the ER. It's like your body doesn't have a response to something once it's a norm for you, right? So it's kind of like you're used to seeing people dying. You're used to seeing it. So it's not like it doesn't really bother you. It's just like, oh, another day because your brain's trying to protect yourself from seeing so much.
Yeah. I mean, I think I agree. It's probably like you're becoming acclimated to some of the stressors, and it's things that are not new anymore, right? So it's not, this is the first time that I'm dealing with something or the first time I'm experiencing emotion like this. But I don't know. I think just from a therapist perspective, obviously, the first time that you hear someone share something really terrible with you, it's like,
Yeah,
wow, that kind of, it took me a while to get over that,
right,
and not take it home and not really stew on it. But then the next time that someone shares something similar, you're like, okay, I've been there before.
right.
I kind of know how to handle this. So I don't know that it's so much maybe, at least in our career, if it's that it gets easier to deal with, it's just that it's not like a new stimulus anymore,
Right.
you know? And we have more tools, right? Obviously, like it sounds like what Ronald is saying, especially like you find tools that work for you, whether that's talking to someone or having a good support partner or network or whatever. So that definitely helps if you're willing to build that up for yourself too.
Yeah. Ronald, do you think there's a difference that you personally notice, you being, on the younger side than maybe some of your coworkers, that is the younger, like your generation and maybe younger? are they more willing to talk about things because of like, I guess in therapy world, right? We say like therapy is becoming more of like, you go on TikTok, therapy is more
Yeah.
of a fad now. All these people go to it. It's like normalized more. So do you feel like younger people or younger first responders are more willing to have like tell colleagues to go to therapy or just like tell people about it that they're struggling rather than like the old school guys you might work with?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just in general, the fire service is changing, right? It's not the same fire service that it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. The biggest thing is mental health right now. Believe it or not, our governor is a big supporter of mental health in the first responder world. You know, starting off with the one thing I feel like they can kind of control, um, is our sleep schedule, right? The fire department is adapting and changing to typically we work 24 hours off 48, So now, politics are getting involved and they're realizing with all this data for so many years that these firefighters are having, they're doing 25, 30 years in the fire service and then they're dying within 5 years after retiring. I don't want to do that. I don't want to give my life, basically what I'm doing for
Yeah.
25 years to then live 5 years after that.
Yeah.
Um, So, they're trying to implement a, 24/72, meaning we'll go shift one day and have 3 days off, which that would be huge.
Yeah.
Um, there's already there's already been like four departments in Florida that are transitioning to that type of schedule. Um, which, talking to a lot of the guys that are, 15, 20 years in their career, they're like, we would have never thought that was gonna happen. You know,
Hmm.
like an extra day off? Absolutely not. Um, but even in my department, when I came on 5 years ago, we didn't talk mental health, right? There
Yeah.
wasn't a, there wasn't a 24/7 phone number that I can call and be like, I need to speak to somebody.
Yeah.
So that's actually got implemented 3 years ago. And Orange County in general, I mean, we're 48 stations. We got over 2,000 something employees. Um, it's a lot of people, a lot of mental health problems that are, in that volume size. So they've actually implemented it's called peer support group, where it
Hmm.
started with two people and then it turned into now, I think it's like 40 individuals. I speak to one of them. She's one of the ladies in charge, almost on a daily basis. She's always calling and checking up on me.
Hmm.
Um, but now we kind of go twice a year to these um, uh, we call it multi-company drills. It's kind of like, every station, every person has to go through it. Is a 1 day full class regarding mental health. We'll sit down. They'll give us all the resources that we kind of need. Um, and then you can also have on the side, like, if you don't feel comfortable expressing, your emotions in front of people, you can kind of go on the side and talk to them one on one.
Yeah.
So, mental health in the fire service it's come a long way. And
Yeah.
when I first got in, it was like, shut up, suck it up, and no crying, like, what the fuck are you doing? I remember my first ever, you know, really bad car accident extrication. It was I don't want to get into too many crazy stories, but it was a family coming back from a party and somebody drank too much. They took the wrong turn, car flipped, hit a tree. Fortunately, mom and dad passed away and the kid was driving. Um, and I was my first call, I was like 3 days into the fire service, and they
Cool.
basically stuck me in the car and they're like, pull the dead people out.
Oh
And
my gosh.
it's one of those things that at that time is like, what the fuck am I doing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
In
Right.
And
shock. You're probably
like,
in shock. Like,
and like, I laugh at it now, but I was the kid that he was alive. He only spoke Spanish, and I was the only fireman out of 15 people there that spoke Spanish. So I was in the car doing like translating for everybody.
Wow.
And I was so nervous. I put the seat collar on backwards. It was a shit show, and like
Wow.
it's one of those things that after the call, nobody said, how you doing? Nobody
Yeah.
was like, everything all right? It was just like, motherfucker was drunk, crashed, killed his parents.
Right.
Let's go eat ice cream, and that's not that's not right. Um I, but like I said, it's changed. Now it's like you go through a traumatic call, they're calling the crew within 5 minutes of you getting back to the station, and like they're putting people out of service. So, like you're not running calls for like an hour, 2 hours. They'll send a debriefing team to go out there and talk to you, and that's
Mm.
huge. That's huge to have.
Wow.
Well, I'm curious. I'm curious to ask you this. Just because of my, me and Gabby like a good research vibe and, all the stuff we listen
Okay.
to. And clearly, there's a lot more research now about what you brought up, like sleep. And like studies have shown in recent years, like first responders, especially firefighters and anybody who works like those 24-hour shifts and the sleeping habits that you guys have, like you lose, I don't even know the statistics, but like years off your life because of your sleep. How
Yeah.
do you think that your shifts, like the 24 off 48, impact you?
Uh,
It's a long time
I
to be
think
up.
I'm the wrong guy to. I think I'm the wrong guy to ask because I work so much overtime, right? I put myself in this situation where I said a couple months ago, it's like I'm gonna try to work as much as I can Monday through Friday to try to enjoy the Saturdays and Sunday.
Sure.
And like it's crazy because that means I can work 4 days in a row, maybe getting 2 hours of sleep, right? Maybe
Hmm.
to then have
Very
energy for the weekend,
concerned.
Yeah. Right.
right? But
It's hard to
but the
imagine.
real but like it's it's a crazy schedule. It's a crazy sleep schedule.
Hmm.
48 hours doesn't do you any justice, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, unless you knows that, like, I'll get off shift, maybe got a chance to sleep from like 4:30 in the morning till 7, right?
Hmm.
And then I'm waking up, drinking coffee, and then going to pick up overtime to run calls all day, to come
Yeah.
home like a zombie to shower, to do it again the next day,
Right.
you know? So,
Hmm.
So I think what I'm hearing from you is like you're used to it. So it's like not necessarily like you're saying it where it's healthy because that's what I'm hearing is like, yeah, you do it, you push through it, and that's normal to you. And
yeah,
it sounds shitty when I say it because it's like that's a lot of days and stuff to work and try to nap in between and then wake up and get a call randomly and then
yeah,
try to go back to sleep. And like I think that's a lot of
Yeah.
times what the study shows, not even sometimes your days off, but like you going into sleep and then waking up and going into sleep and waking up, that's like so unhealthy for your brain and body that as much as you're used to it, it's not healthy, right?
Oh, absolutely not. And like it's it's not just, oh, the tones went off. I'm up. Okay, I'm back to bed. No, you got to get up. You got to get dressed. You got to
Hmm.
go to whatever call it is. Maybe take the patient to the hospital. Maybe move a car to the freaking road at 2:30 in the morning. You're
Hmm.
sweating.
Yeah.
You know you're hungry now, so you're gonna get back. There's some Oreo cookies waiting for you. You're gonna pop an Oreo cookie, right? Maybe get a sip of something, and then try to go
Yeah.
back to sleep after you just fucking had, you know, 800 grams of sugar in you, and you have
Hmm.
to force yourself to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And
Maybe your
it's,
own individual choice at that point, eating an Oreo.
but
Is
what are
that
you gonna do
Coke
when
or?
you know?
There actually may be first responders that choose not to eat that Oreo to try to put themselves to bed. But
Listen, listen. You should see. I'll send you guys a picture of what the EMS rooms at the hospital look like.
like
After
free
midnight.
snacks, free vending machines.
Yeah, it's 'cause you,
Well,
you
we should.
know your body needs energy.
Yeah, the body needs energy. So we should have Dana and Marissa back on the podcast to see what
You
Oh,
should.
they would do for first responder care and how that
he's out.
helps you guys at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Marissa and I kind of battle on this whole diet that plan that I have going on. She's not a fan of it.
No.
I'm sure anybody in
Work with
nutrition,
what we have.
yes, anybody in nutrition
Okay,
can sleep.
progress, not perfection.
I
Yes.
mean, only thing
Slack.
it's
You're
funny.
dealing with trauma. You're so what I'm hearing is you told us your coworkers or some other people might cope with drinking and drugs, but you're gonna cope with Oreo cookies.
I mean, when you're listen, 4 calls after midnight, you
I mean, I
you need
get
to
it.
eat something.
Yeah, right.
There's a I have a lieutenant. He's one of my favorite lieutenants. I love him to death. But he has this thing that it's like 3 calls after midnight is cheeseburger time.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
After
I like
after
it.
after the third call, we're going through that drive-through and getting us some
Yeah,
cheeseburgers. 'Cause
I
you're
like it.
hungry. Well, you're
Yeah, right.
hungry.
Yeah.
And
It's like
I'm
quick
sorry,
calorie.
but
Right.
I'm
It's like
sorry,
Yeah.
but
your
whole
stereotypic, like whatever you
yeah,
can grab around you because you're like in the
yeah,
midst of everything. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Whole Foods not open at 3 a.m., so you gotta,
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm wondering because I'm hearing like obviously the job is so important and like so brave and amazing and all of that, but it sounds like you're sacrificing a lot too. It sounds like your sleep, maybe your ability to make some healthy choices about sleep and nutrition and that kind of thing. So, like, where does the balance come in where, you could give words of wisdom to like new recruits that might come, like, I'm worried about
uh,
these things, I'm hearing these things. Like, how can you find more balance? Is that in your personal life or
yeah,
can you do it on shift?
yeah. I mean, you can, and at the end of the day, and I'm a perfect example of it. I go through ups and downs when it comes to that. There's times where
Yeah.
I'm super fucking consistent, and there are
Mm-hmm.
times where I'm super not, right?
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen, right? It's like nobody's fucking perfect, right?
Right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
even the people that say they're fucking vegetarians, they eat a fucking steak once in a while. Like
Yeah.
but
Sure.
um, that was a little joke. But you have to you have to find um a balance. And it was funny because I just had a kid the other day ask me, literally like 2 shifts ago. It was his first shift, and he was up all night, got home, slept till like 5 o'clock, came to
Wow.
shift 2 days later, and he goes, "Hey man, does this thing get easier?" And I was like, "What are you talking about, bro?" He's like, "Sleep. Does it get easier?"
Oh.
And I was like, Why are you asking me if sleep gets easier?" He's like, "Bro, because I got home and I went straight to bed and I didn't get up till 4 p.m. I slept for like 8 hours." And I was like, this isn't a normal job. You're 25 years old. You probably slept every night in your bed
Mm-hmm.
for the past 25 years,
Right.
right? You've never had to go to sleep and get woken up randomly as hell 4 times after midnight. It's not normal, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna take time for your body to get used to, right? So um, in the sense of, you know, me myself, um, I don't. I think it does.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I feel like it does.
here's a question I have for you then. What was the most surprising thing that you don't think you were prepared enough for coming into this job?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Um, so I think I did a lot of research before I knew what I was getting into, right?
Sure.
Like I did,
Yeah.
I did. I had great support down in Miami. I spoke to some of the best lieutenants, some of the most respected lieutenants. So, um, they were straight up like, "Hey man, like you're gonna see the shit of this shit, right?
Yeah.
Um, you're there." The best advice I ever got was, "You're there on someone's worst time."
Yeah.
The moment the tones go off, and the fucked up thing about it is like I've had grandma call me because you know she has a headache at
Mm-hmm.
4:45 in the morning, right? And when I get there through the door, I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing up?" It's the question I want to tell her, but the
Right.
reality is that is her emergency at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who am I to
Right.
fucking play God and be like, "What are you doing?" Like
Yeah.
I sign up for a service, right?
Mm.
I sign
Yeah.
up to help people. I enjoy helping people. Um, so that's that's the job. Um, but it's everything else. I think it's the aftermath of when you clock in that they don't
Mm-hmm.
prepare you for. And
Yeah.
I think that's probably been, you know, the number one thing that I had no
Mm.
idea what I was getting myself into, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I would.
and then
I, sorry. Go ahead,
when you
Ronald.
have kids, no, I'm just saying when you have kids, it goes from here to now up
Yeah.
here, right? Every call, you're even, the beginning before I had my daughter, it was like I would go to fire calls and I'd be fucking Billy Badass running through the fucking wall because I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like I got someone to go home to, right?
Yeah, right.
Now it's about let's be strategic about what the fuck you're doing instead of just balls to the wall all the time, you know? So
Yeah. Yeah. I would assume like when you mention that too, like that's how the brain works, right? Like logically, we know things. Like when you said like you had those lieutenants and they were, telling you everything and what to expect, like over preparing you in your brain, like, oh, logically, I 100% see it. I know what it entails, blah blah blah, I got it. And nobody can like I would say this, you literally cannot prepare yourself emotionally because that's with
no,
everything that you go through, right? You can't prepare yourself to be prepared for the emotions that come with a trauma scene. It's not like
Yeah.
yeah,
you practice it. Like, cool, I'm in training. What are you gonna feel when this person dies in your arm? It's like you don't get that training. It's just like, oh shit, when it hits you, it hits you. When you get a really bad
Yeah.
call, it's like that is trauma, right? Like you're just like, whoa, your whole body is like in that state, and then you're just like, this is the stuff that nobody could even prepare me for if they wanted.
Yeah.
oh, 100%. I mean, they were just telling me stories of things that I would go to, but at the same time, you're just hearing the words. You don't get to actually experience that feeling that the person's having as you're saying that.
Yeah.
You're not going through their brain as they're saying something that happened 5, 6 years ago. Even a fucking picture that they're showing you of a guy who shot his head off, you know, I'm just seeing it as a picture and he's telling it to me, but you don't feel what he's feeling as
Yeah.
he's showing that to you. Um,
Hmm.
so you don't prepare the mental part of this job is something that you can't prepare for. And I've seen people go through the process, you know, and then a week later quit because it's like this
Yeah.
shit isn't for me.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
happens. It happens a lot. And Alessia brought it up a good point. You know, you go through training, but training doesn't do you justice. You know,
Yeah.
everything's control. Everything's under a bubble, right? I went through a year long of paramedic school, and it was like these scenarios that they're putting you through. But the
Mm.
first time I had to work a cardiac arrest on my own, I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I was sweating
Yeah.
in places that I'd never sweat before because it's like
Right.
it's not a
Yeah.
fucking it's not a fucking mannequin just like looking at you. It's a fucking person's eyeballs staring at you. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Yeah.
you don't
Wow.
you don't you know you have to go into this job with the want to do it, but at the same time, you have to realize that it's not what the videos show, it's not what people saying.
Yeah.
You're gonna, it's like a self check in the mirror that is like, all right, I really want to do this, but I need to expect the worst of the worst. And
Mm.
I wish a lot of people did this. I was like, I have to see how I react when I see the worst of the worst,
Yeah.
right? Because if you if you can't handle it
Hmm.
as much as it affects you, it also affects the person next to you, right? Because
Yeah.
Hmm.
that person needs to go home to their family, right? You
Yeah.
need to go home to your family. So, you know, I remember one kid, we ran into a fire together and he was freaking the fuck out, right? And I could see it, but and I just let him kind of deal with it on his own type of thing. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't nothing crazy. We were able to put the fire out in like 6, 7 minutes. Um, Afterwards, like, hey man, you're good. He's like, yeah, yeah, it was good. It was fun, blah blah blah. I wish you would have had a reality check to be like, I was shitting bricks. I'm
Yeah.
scared. I need to train
Right.
because now the next time I work with that person, like
Mm.
they're like, it's not a. This job's about trust. I have to trust that you're
Yeah.
gonna be there in the moment to do the job that
100%.
needs to be done.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, it's a tough job overall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to like shift a little bit into the positive because I hear a lot of really great things that you're saying too, in terms of, your perspective shift when you're dealing with really tough situations and you're being present for the people that you're serving, right? So, you know, obviously there's a lot of reward in the job, but I guess my question for you is, do you think it gets more rewarding if your perspective is healthier like that? Like you're doing a service job, like there are people that you're helping. Or is it because you have an adrenaline rush and you fix a problem, it's rewarding? You know, like does the mindset
Okay.
play into that?
So I think the older I get in the fire service, the more that mentality changes. Early in
Yeah.
my career, it was about, fuck, I can't wait to, the car accidents, the fire, just go and put it
Mm.
out and be done with it. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't care about the people that I was actually helping at the time. I just wanted to do the
Yeah.
job.
Right.
Now it's more into, I'm going to a fire. I think about trying to protect, their property as much as I can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're able to go in there and do a good job and the family is able to still get their family pictures and they're able to get, you know, a ruler from when their kids was fucking growing up, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
me doing my job the right way now and seeing a positive outcome
Mhm.
in a
Yeah.
negative situation puts a smile on my face all day, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, we had a 3-year-old that drowned not that long ago, and we were able to bring him back,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of did our job, and when we got
Yeah.
back to the station, you know, we looked around and we're like, fuck yeah, right? Like
Yeah.
you get that when someone's heart is racing for no fucking reason,
Yeah.
and you're able to administer a medication and bring it back down, and they're gonna be okay. It's the part of the job that you're like, wow, fuck,
Yeah.
even this medical thing, it's actually pretty cool because
Yeah. Wow.
you have the power and the ability to treat someone, right?
Right.
That if you weren't there at that situation, they might not be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's to me, it's rewarding. It is.
Mhm.
And I mean, there's so many positive things about the job. I mean, people love firefighters, and sometimes they don't really understand their job, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
um, you get thank yous all the time for like, thank you for what you're doing, thank you for your service. And I'm just like, I say, you welcome, but I do it because I care, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the job. I think it's a fun
Mm.
job. I think it's the greatest job in the world. Um,
Yeah.
but one thing that the fire service probably does for you, it's like there's a saying, it's like you're a jack of all trades and a master of none, right?
Mm.
You literally
Yeah.
have to be able to do everything. And there's
Yeah.
levels in the fire service that, someday I hope to achieve and get there. And it's like when you become special ops, it's like you're going to everything,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like
Right.
person stuck in the ground, person fell from a roof and he's dangling from the roof. You got to go get him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, the as you grow in the fire service, the joy of the job grows with you. Um,
Yeah. Wow.
in my opinion.
Yeah. I would have to say like for a healthy mindset and dealing with emotions too, you'd have to do that to be
Yeah.
able to withstand a job like that where it's like you have to remind yourself like why do I do what I do, right? Like you have
Yeah.
to like
Yeah,
Right.
I would say consciously that's what I would teach in a session too. Like how do you consciously take in those good wins and those emotional moments where you're like, damn, a whole bunch of shit must have sucked, but damn, those good wins, like you felt them and you were in the
yeah,
moment and like being able to anchor onto those and remember those would be necessary for like not always going to the trauma, not always living in the negative side of it too.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And I also think it transitions with your family at home, right? Like
Sure.
I fucking gave CPR to a chicken like 2 months ago.
That was my fault.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's 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 something that that's something that I would have never administered, right? Like I did the Heimlich maneuver on the dog 2 years ago. Like
Yeah.
it's things like that that you bring home that it's
Mm.
like, oh shit, we got to go to the hospital now, or it's like, wait a second, we can take care of it. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and it's funny we were talking about this, and I was like, bro, you know what I realized with the fire service is like when emergencies happen outside of work around your family,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's freaking the fuck out, we have trained ourselves to be freaking the fuck out inside, but not
Yeah.
show it.
Right.
we can be that fucking calm in the storm type of shit, right?
Mm,
And it's like,
wow.
we got it. It's gonna be okay, right? And inside, you're like, what the fuck is going on? But you're able to kind of portray that
Yeah.
calm type of thing. And
Right.
I mean, I've been in situations at home where I'm like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna
Yeah.
be fine. And people have been freaking the fuck out. So,
Which I
um,
think is one of the best qualities because, when we teach stuff about anxiety, Gabby, it's always like anxiety produces anxiety. So if you walk in a room and you're anxious, it's contagious, where calmness
Mm-hmm.
literally produces and is contagious too. So if you're freaking out,
Right.
the person next to you can be the calm. It helps you soothe your nervous system too. And for what you do for a living, Ronald, that's important, right? You don't want people showing up to a scene, even if internally they're like, I don't know what the fuck's going on and what to do. You have to walk in like confident, like, well, we're gonna figure this
100%.
out. We got you guys, don't
Yeah,
worry. Like owning that power of
Right.
confidence, even if you're looking at your partner next to you, like, what
yeah,
shit show, where do we start? It's like
yeah,
having that for like families and individuals that you're showing up for when they're the ones losing it and freaking out is like such a quality that is so important and needed and necessary in the job you do. And it's like I definitely just think it's a strength because I couldn't imagine being in
Yeah.
some of that chaos and being like, hey, I'm just going to show up for these people right now and be able to do my job the best I can, even if I don't know what the outcome might be.
Right.
yeah, for sure. I mean, people, when people have any type of emergency or any trouble, I had a lady, even for changing a light bulb, they call 911, right?
Yeah.
911, we can't call anybody. We're
Yeah.
it. We're the
Yeah.
problem solvers. Like,
She's like,
there isn't
I'm
a
on
fucking
time and I need 911. Like, what happens? What if you would, but what if you would be at your place and have a 911 emergency?
the station next door comes to us. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
we're it. There isn't there isn't a 911 dash two to call. It doesn't work.
Right.
hey neighbor, excuse me.
It doesn't work. So we have to figure it out. We
Right.
whatever it is, we have to figure it out.
Okay, so I have a question before we wrap, while we wrap it up, let's say that. If you had to give advice to any new person going into your career, what would be the advice you would give?
Um, it's it's a great job. It's a great job. I mean, the benefits of the job are great. You know, the retirement, the pension later on is great. This job gives you the ability to support your family, not just financially, but like um, mentally and skillfully, if that's even the right way to say it, because you do learn a lot of skills that you're going to
Yeah.
bring home to them.
Mhm.
Um, it's not a job for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Um, and you got to figure the fuck out pretty quick if it's for you or not
Okay.
before
Yeah.
you hurt someone, right? Or hurt yourself, even worse, right? Um, but other than that, I mean, you just gotta try it, and if you're gonna commit 100% to the job, right? Um, and don't stay stagnant in the job. I mean, Alessia knows it. There's been times where I've been like, I'm fucking bored. I'm bored with the
Yeah.
job. Like I go in, I clock in, and I fucking, run these stupid calls, and it's like, what the fuck am I doing, right? And
Mm,
it goes through a span of my time, right? And then like I gotta snap out of it, right? I gotta find
right.
something else to better myself. I gotta find a different challenge. Like in 3 weeks, I'm about to take a confined space class, and it's like holes are about this big that I gotta try to figure out a way to fit through, right?
Right.
And that's exciting for me. I look forward to that.
I know.
I'm trying to get.
I am
I'm
good on that.
I'm trying to get involved with training. I like teaching. I like passing on little things I learned. So that has
Yeah.
brought joy in my career, right? At the
Yeah.
beginning, when you're new and you don't have, you know, that much skills, that much experience, you haven't gone through medic school, which is going to kick you in the ass. Um,
Hmm.
the job can get boring because you're just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay,
And you're also like, wow,
but quickly before we end, if you veer it towards like mental or emotional advice of how somebody what's like a tool you of course me and Gabby always have tools we like to give to our listeners of like how to cope or how to deal with something or what's a healthy way, what would
okay.
you from personal experience, but if you could give out like one tool or trip for somebody just entering the field, what would you recommend that they make sure they do?
It's the biggest one and the most important is find your find your people to talk to. And I've been here for 5 years and I already had three people commit suicide. And the number one thing I hear from friends, family, and people is like, I wish I would have said something, right?
Yeah.
So don't be scared. That old generation of firemen that is like, suck it up, stop crying, move it on, it's out the window, right?
Yeah.
Find someone, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a family member, whether it's a therapist, right? Find someone to talk to, and
Yeah.
don't be scared. Don't be scared to talk to somebody, right? And if you feel like you can't go to someone directly,
Hmm.
call. There's men like there's right now I can probably name fucking 18 places out of the top of my head, just exaggerating.
Yeah.
But like that you can call and be like, I need to speak to regarding this, and that,
Right.
right? And if you say, I'm a first responder, I need to speak to, it's like immediate. So
Yeah. Wow.
just don't be scared to talk to somebody.
Yay, thanks for that. It was a really
Yeah.
good tool. I really loved that. And I like the way you broke that down. So, but we
Yeah.
appreciate you for joining us on our podcast. You gave us a lot of good insight and to our listeners. And hopefully, we get some people who are interested in your field. That way, they can learn from the knowledge you had to give to us today. So,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate you guys having me. You guys are doing a great thing.
Thank you.
We it's funny because the title it's perfect. You know, we all do have stuff from
Yeah.
the bare minimum to the fucking shittiest of shitties. You know,
Yeah.
we have a lot of stuff and stuff that we don't talk about. So
Yeah. Right.
you guys are doing a great job. You know,
Thanks.
speaking about it. You know, putting yourself out there. I wish you nothing but the best in your show. I hope to be back. Tell Marissa I'm coming for her. So
well, next time
so
we'll have maybe a nutritionist to join Ronald so they can pick
I'm
his
down.
brain about his nutritional habits
Go
in
head to
that
head.
firefighter world. So,
I'm down.
all
I'm
right. Until
down.
next time, squad, thanks for listening and thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Bye.